Welcome back. It's been quite an amazing week of cricket. Let's talk about each team. We'll go over all of them. I left out some teams because I didn't think I had that much interesting to say about them. For the sake of time, I didn't have that much interesting to say about them. I left some teams in, but some teams I just didn't have that long of a paragraph for, so I just left it out. But I'm willing to make a short if you guys want that. So just tell me in the comments. I'll do anything related to cricket, obviously. But yeah, the USA has made a really big statement in these last couple of years, both cricket-wise and politics-wise. But I'm just not smart enough for politics-wise, so we're going to talk about cricket. They did pretty well in their first game against India, but ultimately lost thanks to Surya Kumar Yadav haunting them once again, and also just because their team doesn't have that many power hitters. Other than Andre Goose and Shubham Ranjane. Against Pakistan, they leaked too many runs due to bowling looser deliveries, and deliveries that both go into Shadab's and Farhan's hitting arc. They did make a good total against Pakistan, with Shubham Ranjane top scoring versus them. I think they scored 160, I think they scored 158 to be exact. However, they did make a great comeback with wins over Netherlands and Namibia, with big runs and wickets from everyone, not just Shadley Van Schalkwyk. They really found themselves in second place right before Pakistan crushed Namibia, but they still had a remarkable tournament. All I would do is try to improve the speed at which they deliver with more variations and a stronger batting lineup. Top teams like India and England have strong players like Dubey, Butler, Salt, and Hardik, and even teams like Pakistan have Shaheen, Farhan, and Ayub, who can all clear the rope pretty easily. Obviously, they do have better bats, but you just need players who can clear the rope easier, like strong players, which is what T20 cricket needs, which is one of the many difficulties of T20 cricket, one of the many differences of T20 cricket versus Test cricket, but that's not what this video is about. The Netherlands had a huge win over Namibia, but they lost to every other team. This was definitely expected, but they had a bunch of bright moments against India and Pakistan. They were one catch away from winning against Pakistan, which, given the Netherlands' reputation in the field, should have been taken. Versus India, they troubled the batting with their off-spin, with Aryan Dutt getting the wickets of in-form Ishan Kishan and his not-so-in-form partner Abhishek Sharma, who was even able to control Shivam Dube for a good portion of innings. I think at one point Shivam Dube was off on 2 off of 8 or something, if I'm not wrong. But Shivam Dube started smashing right before his quota was over. So, not great, but good for Shivam Dube. They really just have to work on their variety and pace. They were bowling cutters to Dube, which just allows him to play pace as if it's just spin. Similar thing with Fahim Ashraf in the Pakistan match. Their batting wasn't in the best form either, but they did well against both India and Pakistan, and Bas Daly definitely increased his stock in the last couple of matches. Pakistan qualified for the Super 8s after a little scare before the Namibia game. They actually were pretty dominant in most of their matches. They crushed the USA and Namibia, but had some problems with the Netherlands that were resolved with Fahim Ashraf's quick cameo. They were crushed by India, but they did have a pretty good time in the field with their spinners stopping Surya Kumar Yadav, Tilak Verma, Hardik Pandya, and Abhishek Sharma. Ishan Kishan was out there whacking it though, and both Dube and Rinko gave good finishes at the end for India. Their batting was the main problem because there's a little firepower left after Farhan, Ayub, or Salman Aliaga get out. Usman Khan was hitting some fours, but with little to no runs at a good rate from the other end, it was pretty difficult for them. Even Usman was striking at around 130, if I'm not wrong, 135-ish. Their spin was on another tier though, with Usman Tariq, Saim Ayub, Abrar Ahmed, and Salman Aliaga being super dangerous for any team in the tournament, even the ones who can play spin pretty well, especially since all of their matches are being played in Sri Lanka. Their first Super 8s game was washed out, unfortunately, because New Zealand would have crushed them, if I'm being honest. They have some really good players of spin on that team, and even Rachin Ravindran Phillips in the last even in the last match, they were out there seeing it pretty well. So I think they definitely have a renewed sense of confidence, and then after that washed out game, it's Pakistan's chances are looking very, very bright. Zimbabwe is honestly unstoppable right now. I didn't think that they would make it this far, but they do have their eyes set on the trophy. They topped Group B and have gone undefeated and are in the same group of South Africa, West Indies, and India. These 3 teams are honestly really strong, so it's going to be a challenge to get through them, but they can do it. I think they can do it. They have a really strong mentality. I've said this already, but they basically treat it like Test cricket. They the openers come in, see the ball out, score at a rate of 130 to 140-ish, which is, in this day and age, pretty slow. And the middle order will come out to whack it. Their pacers will take some early wickets, likely, or at least keep the run rate below 9, and the spinners will maintain that. It's honestly just really tactical, and it seems pretty obvious, this is what you're supposed to be doing. But they just do it so well, which is very, very surprising. They're up against the West Indies, which I think there's a chance for an upset there. I doubt it's going to happen, but there's a chance. The team is honestly very vulnerable to spin because, one, they haven't been tested against spin this whole tournament. They were in a group with England, and that's basically it. I guess they had Italy in their group, Scotland, and Nepal, all of which have fairly worse spinners compared to Zimbabwe. I would say Scotland doesn't have that many good spinners other than Mark Watt, I guess. Nepal has Lami Chane, but that's it. And then Italy's the other one. I guess they have Ben Menenti, who's actually pretty good. So, and they have Krishan Kalumage, and they did crush Italy. But again, there's still a chance for an upset there. Those aren't the best teams, but Zimbabwe is definitely one of the best teams in this tournament. So, good chance for an upset there. And second reason, they can easily lose steam against spin because, Shai Hope is very vulnerable to playing slowly. He's kind of like a KL Rahul kind of player who will, if they're playing slowly, then they're going to play super slowly. And then they have Shimron Hetmeyer as well, who can also be fairly vulnerable to spin. And then Shervain Rutherford, kind of similar to Shai Hope. Well, not similar at all, I guess. But you get what I'm saying. If Shikandar Raza and Graham Kramer can just outdo themselves for maybe these next two matches, they can really benefit their team. For now, I don't think they're going into the semifinals, but I wouldn't expect them to do too bad in the Super 8s. Kind of like in Italy, where they don't really win that much, but they do have some good periods in the game. Their power play is key for them building their innings, so if that's messed up, then the match is basically sealed, I guess. I'm talking about Zimbabwe, not West Indies. But yeah, Australia's next. I don't know why I'm going in this order, but that's just how I wrote it, okay? Australia's next. They lost both their matches against the full member nations and had solid wins over Ireland and Oman. Most of their team is just injured. Once Hazelwood was gone, it was basically over for them. Without Hazelwood, they weren't even making it to the semis, and it's a very, very inexperienced team, even with Hazelwood. So without it, imagine how inexperienced it is. Most of their bowlers aren't good. Zampa hasn't been in the best form since, honestly, I do want to say World Cup 2023. He wasn't even in good form in 2024. So he's just not in good form. They should look at more opportunities for all of their players, including their batters. Maxwell and Stoinis, they're getting too old. Cooper Connolly is batting at 8 or 9. I don't know, 7 maybe. That's way too low. He's a top order batter. He should be batting at number 3, number 4-ish. Marsh and Head are really good, I guess, so they're fine. Steve Smith is not that necessary for them, and they should be grooming someone else, like Cooper Connolly, who could play that position, or even Josh Inglis, who is 31 right now, so he should be playing that position as well. So he's not that bad of a choice, but again, he's pretty old now, 36-ish, so yeah, same age as Kohli, so 36, 37-ish, yeah. Around that range. So yeah, I don't get why you'd want to play him. So there's a lot of work required, clearly. The West Indies is undefeated in this T20 World Cup so far and is in Group A for the Super 8s with Zimbabwe, India, and South Africa. They have a really strong team, which, as I said, is yet to be tested against spin, and they're strong on all fronts. And one front that I mentioned in my preview video was definitely their pace, which was kind of weak in my opinion. I felt like it just gave too many runs. But they have been doing well in all their matches, with Matthew Ford and Shamar Joseph making really strong statements. Their batting is pretty solid. It's carried by 3 batters mainly, Hope, Rutherford, and Hetmeyer, but there is still some firepower, I guess, with Brandon King and Jason Holder, and maybe even Roston Chase can play a couple of good innings there. Holder should be providing more impact towards the end of the innings, though. Their spin is also pretty good. Gudakesh Motier, Akil Hussain, and Roston Chase have been really good spinners so far, and as I said, 6 times throughout the last 3 weeks, they haven't really been tested against spin, and teams who have strong spinners, like Pakistan, Sri Lanka, those teams will be dangerous for them. And in this, once they do get to the semis, which I assume they will, they're gonna really struggle. And then did they play? I think they played like Bangladesh and Pakistan as well in a T20 series, and they haven't been great against them, mainly because of the spin, and I guess their batting wasn't in the best form mainly. So it's really just their batting that's the problem, which is surprising to say for the West Indies. But yeah, it's really just their batting that's the main problem. New Zealand's first Super 8 match was washed out against Pakistan, which is honestly pretty significant. I think this was their hardest matchup, but I think they were, I guaranteed you they were going to win, just because I doubt that a lot of these guys can play spin really well, but they were probably going to win, because Finn Allen is just like super good, and they've played, a lot of them have played in Chepauk before. Chapman's honestly just like really good against Pakistan for some reason. He's just amazing against Pakistan. The bowling, I've said this before, could afford to leak less runs, but it doesn't really matter. I think the power play batting more than makes up for it. Seifert is really good. Allen is really good. So it basically makes up for it. The middle order is like very bad. It could have been so much better if they just like knew how to strike quicker. However, both Phillips and Ravindra have got some really good shots off against Canada the other day. So maybe some good practice for them. I already said this, so I'm just like repeating myself. But again, like the middle order just isn't good enough. So whenever they're against spin, it might be bad for them. Afghanistan is next, and honestly, they're already eliminated. But throughout the tournament, they didn't do too bad. I think all of their losses were really close, and their wins were pretty huge. Obviously, there was that double super over against South Africa, and even against New Zealand, they weren't even that bad. Their main problem is just the lack of teamwork in the batting innings. I mean, by that, I mean they don't make partnerships all that often. It's only really Zadran and Gurbaz who does that. And everyone just like tries to play their own roles, which I don't think is a good idea. They should adapt to their partner or just make partnerships with each other. I mean, this is one of the most difficult aspects of T20 cricket or just like cricket in general. And they are still a rising nation, so I do get it. But that was a huge problem in the match against the UAE, where they won with just 4 deliveries left. Zadran kept having to play the lone warrior role against the UAE until Omar Zai came in and struck in quick 43-run partnerships in just 4 overs with Darvish Rasuli. So their players aren't in the best form as well, so yeah, that's it. Oh, mainly their pacers aren't in the best form, so yeah, their spinners are like, they're okay. Not in the best form either, but they're okay. The batters are not in the best form either, but okay. But their pacers are just in terrible form, man. So that's pretty significant. Faruqi was amazing in the last World Cup, but just he wasn't at his peak this year. Honestly, these are all fairly fixable, so it really doesn't matter that much to me. Again, they were put in the group with what I assumed were 2 of the 4 semifinalists, so it's really unfair to them. Now for the 4 matches that were actually pretty recent. So Sri Lanka were amazing in the group stage, but weren't in their first Super 8s game. They lost by 51 runs to England at home, mainly because their batting couldn't do anything against England's pretty solid spin, surprisingly. Their bowling was obviously amazing, as per usual, with everyone except for Hemanta and Chamira going at under 7 with 2 or more wickets. Their top order, despite the form they were in, could not muster any runs against Jacks or Archer. They were literally like 34 for 5 at one point and only got to 95 thanks to Dashan Shanaka trying to stabilize as wickets fell at the other end. So it's just like not a good day for them. I never felt like they were semi-final ready, and this basically confirms that. Their batting just isn't good enough. Like I love Batum Nissanka, I love Kushal Mendes. I think they're really good players, but it's just not good enough, man. They're a really good team, though. They could definitely cause trouble to New Zealand, or maybe in Pakistan. They could definitely cause trouble to Pakistan as well. Yeah, they have Dilshan Madhushanka, so yeah, they're definitely causing some trouble to Pakistan. Farhan's probably just going to destroy them, though. England is next. Their top order has been out of form the whole tournament, but Phil Salt took down Sri Lankan bowlers today with his solid 62 off, I believe it was 44. But the team is still really, really bad against spin. Everyone looked completely clueless, but still, somehow, thanks to their bowling, they got through Sri Lanka without having too many hurdles to cross. Again, it's still not over. They have to face Pakistan spins, and then they have to, and then if they win this against New Zealand, then they basically seal a semifinal spot. They really just do need a solid middle order, and just a solid player of spin in general. Now for the big ones. the two, what I assumed would be the two finalists. South Africa had a huge win over India. I didn't say it on this channel, but I said it like to some friends. I was thinking about what South Africa would do before the toss, like, or at least like what they would decide on doing if they were going, like, if they win the toss, or even if India wins the toss, what they were going to do. Obviously, Ahmedabad is usually better for chasing, at least statistically, but India just really sucks at chasing. But so they should choose to bat first, right? And then score like something 170, which is fairly easy. It's a flatter pitch, and win the game. And that's basically what happened. They had a huge scare by losing big wickets at the start. Like, they lost Rickleton early, they lost Markram early, they lost De Kock early, they lost basically everyone early. But Miller, Brevis, and Stubbs finally found some form in like 2 years. Probably not even 2 years. It's probably been like 4 years since, or for Miller, it's probably been like three years. I don't know. I want to say the same year Gujarat Titans won the IPL, so 4 years probably. It's been like 4 years since Miller had form, and then Brevis and Stubbs were in form before the World Cup, or they were in amazing form in the SA20. So they've been in form for a while now, so I don't really care about that. But Miller finally found form, which is great for them. And Brevis and Stubbs played some really good cameos. They scored like 40 odd off of like 30-ish balls, so that's really good for them. And they ended up scoring 187. It was fairly flat, so India did have a chance. But again, the tactical brilliance to choose to bat first on that pitch, knowing the history of this like chasing in this pitch, is great. And this form will greatly help them in the next couple of matches, honestly, especially in the semis. They really didn't have that much middle order power in the group stage, but now in the Super 8s, they finally found form, and it should be useful in the semifinals where they have the chance to face the dangerous spin of Pakistan or even Sri Lanka, or even in finals if West Indies qualify. They have the chance to face that spin, or even if India qualify again, if they bring in Kuldeep this time. They'll have to face him again, and there's also Varun Chakravarti, which they did amazingly against today. Played him off the back foot, really, because they knew Chakravarti would bowl short. So if Chakravarti is bowling short, then you're going to want to play off the back foot, and they really practiced their back foot shots, which I think was amazing. And I really know Chakravarti is just like not good against South Africa. I'm pretty sure most of his like worst spells have been against South Africa. He's gone for like 40 to 50 in a lot of matches against them, and taken like, I mean, he's taken wickets, obviously, like he usually takes wickets, but he's taken only like 5 wickets in those spells, which is like, this guy really sucks against South Africa, right? Would you want to drop him against South Africa just because he's not good, or would you want to keep him because, like, I mean, he's one of the best, but he's number 1 ranked, right? So that's something for India to think about. I'm just ranting at this point. So again, like, their middle order founding form is really good for them. They've basically sealed a semifinal spot. They just need to win one more game because their net run rate is like 3.8 or something. And our last team, India, they're in a difficult position. We're just gonna talk. I'm just gonna talk about the same things, except I'm gonna talk about it from the perspective of India, which should be a bit easier because I was rooting for them, and now I'm a Zimbabwe fan. I previously said that they would struggle. I previously said that I doubted that they would struggle in this World Cup, and that's clearly a very wrong statement. Like, their top order is terrible, or at least in terrible form. Ishan had that 77 versus Pakistan, I guess, and then maybe Surya had that innings against the USA, and that's basically it for the top order this entire series, right? The middle order is actually pretty good, but again, if you're 51 for 5, there's only so much that the middle order can do. And they were going at 5.2 for most of the game, or at least for most of the crucial moments of the game. Especially in the power play, they were going at 5.7. In the middle, they were going at what's the name they have right now? Was it Consolidate? They were in over 7 through 14. They were going at 6.8, and then everything after that is just like, well, what are you gonna do? You're basically you're at 120 after 14 overs. You need 80 runs or 70 runs in the last how many ever overs? You have 5 or 6 overs left. You have that many overs left. You're not gonna score 90 runs if you have 3 batters left. like not even three genuine batters, just like three batters in general, like 3 wickets left. You're not gonna score like 90 runs, unless you're Virat Kohli, but that's a totally different conversation. Again, obviously, you don't have much you can do when you're at 51 for 5. And then they missed a trick by playing Washington Sundar. Obviously, they wanted him there for the 3 left-handers, but then Bumrah got 2 of the most dangerous left-handers. So I guess you could say that Bumrah lost him this match, but no, not at all. But Bumrah got 2 of the most dangerous left-handers that Washington Sundar was brought in for. So it doesn't make sense if you're just going to bring him in and he's not doing anything that you want him to do. I mean, I think that they should utilize him better. And even then, if Akshar was playing instead of Sundar, it would have been so much easier for them to restrict to Brevis and Stubbs. But again, there is no if. India doesn't really know how to utilize Washington Sundar at all. You have to give him a good amount of overs. You have to, he did go for 10 or 11 runs and over in his first over, if I'm not wrong. I think he went for 11 runs, and then he went for 6 in his second over. So he just went for 10 or 11, which was way better than what Dubey was doing at the time, way better than what Hardik was going at the time, honestly better than what Chakravarti was going at the time. So you should have given him some more overs. And then he gave like 5 or 6 runs in his next over. So not even that bad. All things considered, he was stopping momentum for South Africa, and you have to give him that credit. You can't just like not bull him at all. You're just giving him 2 overs. And even though he's like not even bowled that bad or he's not even bowled relatively bad compared to like Chakravarti or Dubey, right? You have to give him his overs. And as much as I enjoy Sundar's batting, you do not promote him up to 5, especially in that position. If you're gonna trust a young player more than someone who's been consistent over the last 6 years, I'm talking about Akshar Patel, at least show your trust in him by bowling him more. And honestly, like I just said, show your trust in him, but you're batting him over Hardik Pandya, Shivam Dubey, and Rinku Singh. That's absolutely crazy. I would have sent Rinku out there if I'm being honest. You just don't promote someone like that to 5. You'd promote him to 3 if your team is doing really well, but you do not promote him up to 5. India's management just has to understand their batters' playing mentality. Hardik does take time to get set, even if it doesn't look like it. And Dubey sees off the first couple of deliveries, even if it doesn't look like it. Before he starts swinging, he plays a couple of 2 balls. He doesn't even go for a single. He doesn't even attack. He just defends in his first 2 deliveries. This game definitely was winnable, and I'm honestly not surprised to see this team failing in a chase. They just cannot chase. They don't. It's huge. How can you score so much? You could score 270 so easily, but you can't chase 187. That's crazy. So changes. You go back to Akshar, play Kuldeep if necessary. Probably not necessary, but play Kuldeep. But again, after that huge loss, the net run rate is just too low, and you have to rely on South Africa absolutely crushing the West Indies and Zimbabwe in order to even qualify for the semis. So, all in all, thoughts on everything. It's getting super interesting. I didn't actually think that India would. I thought that this would be India's gonna destroy every single thing. They're gonna score 270 every single match, and then they're just gonna go on to the finals and score 300 there and win. But apparently it's not like that. My top 4, my semifinals, won't actually have India in it because their net run rate's just too low. Pakistan, South Africa, England, and the West Indies will be my top 4. Honestly, with India losing, Zimbabwe has a solid chance of making it as well. And I think that South Africa, they're probably gonna take this trophy. Their first limited overs trophy since 1996, Champions Trophy 1996. I think that was their first, or I guess back then it was called Knockout Trophy. But first limited overs trophy since then. I guess they had the World Test Championship. So yeah, honestly, South Africa's gonna win this. If not South Africa, probably it's either the West Indies or Pakistan, definitely. But I think it's gonna be South Africa. All right, that's it. Bye.